After I refused to pay off his gambling debt, my entitled brother-in-law took my son from school without telling me. He told police I was unfit and tried to get custody. "You never deserved that kid anyway," he whispered while I sobbed in court. I vanished from the trial, but what he didn't know was that I had already. I never thought my life would turn into this kind of nightmare. I'm Dana. I live in Boise, Idaho. I'm 39, a single mom. My son Cody is the only thing that's kept me going since my husband Rick died. He was killed by a drunk driver 6 years ago. Just like that, I went from being a wife and mom with a stable life to a widow trying to raise a little boy alone. It was like someone ripped the floor out from under me. After Rick died, I was drowning. I had to pick up 2 jobs just to stay afloat. I worked the morning shift at a diner and cleaned offices at night. I didn't complain. Cody needed me. I made sure he had everything he needed, even if I had to go without. I didn't date. I didn't go out. I just worked and raised my son. Rick's younger brother Travis started showing up not long after the funeral. He was always kind of a screw-up, but Rick had a soft spot for him. I think I did too, at first. He was family. He'd come over, bring Cody toys, talk about old times. At the beginning, it felt okay. He made Cody laugh, and for a second I'd remember how Rick used to smile. But Travis started asking for things. First it was just dinner or a ride somewhere. Then it turned into money. $20 here, 50 there. I didn't have much to give, but sometimes I gave it. I didn't want to be cold. But it became obvious he was using again, booze, maybe pills, maybe worse. He was edgy, broke, always sweating. Then one night he showed up pounding on my door at midnight. Cody was asleep. I opened the door just enough to see his face. He looked scared. Said he owed $5,000 to some guys who were real serious and he didn't have it. Begged me to help. Swore on Rick's grave he'd pay me back. I told him I couldn't. That I wouldn't. I had bills. Rent. Groceries. I was raising Rick's kid alone. I told him I was sorry, but he had to figure it out himself. He lost it. Started yelling that I was a selfish b*tch. Said Rick would be ashamed of me. He called me cold, said I never loved Rick like he did. I told him to leave or I'd call the cops. He left, slamming the door so hard the frame cracked. I thought that was the end of it. 2 weeks later, on a Wednesday afternoon, I got off work and went straight to Cody's school to pick him up like always. I waited by the main doors, but the kids kept coming and Cody wasn't there. The teacher finally walked over and asked why I was still there. "I'm here for Cody," I said, confused. "Oh," she said. "His uncle already signed him out early." I felt like someone kicked me in the chest. "What uncle?" I asked. She looked confused. "He showed ID. He said he was family." I ran to my car and called the police. They told me there was nothing they could do if the child was with a known relative and there were no custody orders preventing it. "He's not on the emergency contact list," I shouted. "Ma'am, unless you have a court order stating he can't take the child, it's not considered kidnapping." I hung up on them and called Travis. He picked up on the 3rd ring. "Where's Cody?" "He's with me," he said, calm as ever. "He's safe." "You had no right, I have every right." "You're not a good mother, Dana. You're never home. He needs stability. He needs family. I've already filed for emergency custody." I froze. I didn't even know what that meant. All I knew was that my baby wasn't with me. "You're insane," I said, my voice breaking. "No," he said. "I'm just doing what someone should have done a long time ago." Then he hung up. The next morning, CPS was at my door. They said there was an anonymous report that I was leaving Cody alone at night while I worked. That I was exposing him to dangerous men. That I was unstable. Travis had set it all up. He told them I was unfit, and he backed it up with a woman he was sleeping with. She gave a statement saying she'd seen me hit Cody. Total lie. I'd never touched my son in anger. Ever. I called a lawyer that afternoon. Borrowed money from my sister. Started the slow, painful process of proving I wasn't what they said I was. Meanwhile, Cody was with Travis. I only got to see him at supervised visits. My son looked confused, scared. He asked why he couldn't come home. I had no good answer. Travis sat smug in every hearing. Like he was the hero in some story he made up. He told the judge I was depressed, reckless, unstable. He said he'd seen bruises on Cody. Lies, all of it. At one hearing, I broke down crying on the stand. I couldn't hold it in anymore. I'd done everything right. Everything. And I was losing my son. Travis leaned over while I sobbed, and whispered in my ear, "You never deserved that kid anyway." I wanted to hit him. I really did. But I didn't. Instead, I made a choice. The night before the final custody hearing, I didn't show up. Everyone assumed I gave up. But what no one knew was I had already made my move. I had already found his weak spot, his gambling. A few days earlier, I'd hired someone I met through a woman at work. A private investigator. He found Travis's bookie. Got phone numbers, text messages, and voicemails. I had screenshots of him begging for money, admitting to debt, even talking about how he was gonna use the kid to get sympathy from the courts. But that wasn't all. The girl who said I hit Cody? I found her. Her name was Tanya. She worked at a bar. I showed up one night and bought her a drink. Told her I knew what Travis had done. At first she played dumb, but when I showed her the voicemail he left me, threatening me, she cracked. He told me to lie or he'd tell people I was stealing pills, she said. I recorded her confession. Then I called CPS. I told them I had new evidence and I wanted to meet in person. Quietly. No lawyers. They agreed. The last thing Travis expected was for his house of lies to come crashing down, without me even showing up in court. So while Travis sat in court thinking he had won, I was sitting in a quiet room at the CPS office with a caseworker and my PI's file laid out on the table between us. I handed over printed texts, screenshots, even a short recording of Travis bragging to someone on the phone about how easy it was to get sympathy because he was the last male relative. He said, "Courts love the uncle act." All I had to do was make her look nuts. But the best piece was Tanya's confession. She admitted Travis told her what to say in court, and that she was scared he'd hurt her if she didn't go along with it. I had her signature on a statement. CPS took it seriously. Very seriously. They said it would take a few days to investigate everything, and I needed to stay quiet. No contacting Travis. No tipping him off. I agreed. I went back home and waited, barely sleeping. I didn't go to the final court hearing. I wanted to, but CPS said if I showed up and Travis suspected anything, he might run. And they were right. Because the day after the hearing, Travis didn't just stay quiet, he disappeared. Gone. No one could reach him. Cody missed school. The phone went to voicemail. His apartment was empty. I panicked. Called CPS, the police, everyone. They issued a welfare check, but by the time they got there, the place was cleared out. Travis had taken Cody and vanished. I thought I was going to throw up. For 3 straight days, I sat in my apartment pacing, crying, calling every number I could. No one had seen him. No friends, no family, not even Tanya. His car was gone. His phone was off. The police told me that because there was no final custody ruling yet, it wasn't technically parental kidnapping. The court had temporarily awarded custody to Travis, so he hadn't technically broken the law. But CPS? They weren't playing games anymore. Turns out, they'd already been digging into Travis's background once I gave them the file. They found out he was using a fake address on his paperwork. They found out he had 2 open warrants in Oregon, small charges, but enough to get flagged. Then something else happened. A week later, I got a call from a woman in Spokane, Washington. She said her daughter went to daycare with a boy named Cody, and she saw a Facebook post I made in a missing child group. He said his mom's name was Dana. I thought it was strange. That's not what the man told the daycare staff. I couldn't believe it. I forwarded the info to the detective on the case. It took less than 12 hours for them to show up at the house Travis was staying at. He'd used a fake name, told the landlord Cody was his kid, and paid in cash. Cody was found safe. But what they found in the house made everything worse. There were bottles of whiskey on the table. Empty pill containers. Gambling receipts. And worst of all, Cody's school books, ripped up in a pile near the trash. My son later told me Travis used to scream at him at night when he asked for me. Made him sleep on the couch. Took away his stuffed animals. I cried for hours when I heard that. They arrested Travis on the Oregon warrants and added new charges for false statements, child endangerment, and violating CPS guidelines. But he still denied everything. Said I planted evidence. That I was just crazy with grief. He didn't know about Tanya's sworn statement. Or the recording of him talking to his bookie. Or that CPS had now changed their tune, completely. They finally saw him for what he was. But the fight still wasn't over. Because now Travis had a public defender, and his lawyer filed to suppress the evidence I gave CPS, said it was illegally obtained. Then, something I never saw coming. He filed a counterclaim saying I put Cody in danger by allowing Travis access in the first place, and that my absence from court showed instability. I wanted to scream. Even from jail, this man was still trying to destroy me. My lawyer told me we'd need to go to full trial. I was broke, exhausted, and had nothing left, but I wasn't giving up. Not now. I started gathering everything I had. Texts, voicemails, photos, CPS letters, even a testimony from the woman in Spokane who saw Cody and knew something was off. I made a binder thicker than a Bible. Every lie, every threat, every time he said I didn't deserve my son, I had it all. But something else happened during that prep. I learned something that changed the game. Travis had taken out a life insurance policy on Cody. He forged my signature. It was small, only $10,000. But it was enough to scare me into thinking this was never just about custody. This was about control. About money. And maybe even worse. Finding out about that life insurance policy stopped me cold. It was a small policy, 10 grand, but the fact that Travis had taken it out on my son, without my knowledge, using a forged signature, made my stomach twist. It wasn't just illegal. It was sick. I showed the paperwork to my lawyer, and his face went pale. He said we needed to report it immediately. We filed a fraud report with the insurance company. They flagged the policy, froze it, and opened an investigation of their own. I still don't know what Travis's endgame was. Maybe it was leverage. Maybe he thought if something happened to Cody, he could cash out and skip town. That thought still wakes me up at night. But now I had something more than just lies and abuse. I had proof he forged legal documents, impersonated me, and committed insurance fraud. That changed everything. The CPS caseworker moved fast after that. She filed a motion to have full custody restored to me immediately while the investigations were pending. A temporary hearing was set. This time, I showed up. And Travis did too. In handcuffs. He was brought into the courtroom straight from county jail. He was wearing an orange jumpsuit, still trying to look smug, but he didn't look so slick anymore. His lip was busted. Word was he got into a fight with another inmate over a poker game. The judge was sharp. No small talk, no smiles. My lawyer laid everything out, the gambling debt, the forged insurance policy, the fake witness testimony, and now the failed attempt to run off with Cody across state lines. Travis's lawyer tried to spin it as desperation. Said Travis truly believed Cody wasn't safe with me and that poor decision-making wasn't the same as criminal intent. But then the judge asked Travis one question that changed the whole room. Why did you tell multiple people the child was yours? Why did you lie to his school, his doctor, and his daycare? Travis didn't answer. He just stared at the floor. The judge called for a break. During that break, the bailiff handed me a note. Sloppy handwriting. It said, "You win. But don't think this is over." No signature. I crumpled it. I didn't show it to anyone. I knew what it meant. He wasn't going to stop. Jail or not, Travis was never going to let this go. That night, I didn't sleep. I watched Cody while he snored softly in bed. I could barely believe he was back under my roof. Safe. But I knew Travis would find a way to keep reaching into our lives if I didn't do something more permanent. Then something strange happened. The woman from Spokane, the one who had first spotted Cody, reached out again. She said a man came into her work a few nights before Travis was arrested. He was drunk, ranting about taking what's owed and shutting that bitch up for good. She said she didn't realize who he was until she saw the story online. I asked if she'd be willing to talk to the police. She agreed. And then, one more twist dropped. Tanya, the ex-girlfriend who had lied in court for Travis, called me. She was crying. Said someone had broken into her apartment. Nothing was stolen, but her laptop was smashed and her dog was missing. She was scared. Said she thought Travis had someone on the outside doing stuff for him. I don't know who he owes, she said. But someone's still helping him. He owes money to guys who don't forgive. Now I wasn't just scared, I was furious. Travis wasn't acting alone anymore. This went deeper. He was tied into something, and he had help. Someone who broke into Tanya's place. Someone who might have been watching me. That's when I made a decision. I was done playing defense. I was going to fight this until he had nothing left to reach with. The minute I realized Travis still had people helping him, I stopped thinking like a victim and started thinking like someone with nothing left to lose. He came after my son. Lied in court. Stole from me. Forged my name. And now he was trying to hurt anyone who stood in his way. He thought I was soft. But I was done being quiet. The day after Tanya called me, I drove straight to the county sheriff's office. I gave a full statement. Everything. I handed over the note he'd sent me in court, told them about the break-in at Tanya's apartment, the woman in Spokane, the insurance fraud, everything. That was the spark. Because what I didn't know, what Travis didn't know, is that the insurance company had already flagged his name in an internal database. Turns out this wasn't the first time he'd forged a policy. There were 2 others, on his own ex-girlfriend's child and an old roommate. Neither one had gone through fully, but they were reported as suspicious years ago. Now, with everything I'd brought forward, they had what they needed. The police opened a wider case. They connected Travis to a known illegal gambling circle based out of Twin Falls. His phone records showed calls to numbers tied to loan sharks. His text showed promises to deliver something in exchange for forgiving debts. One of those messages said, "She'll fold. Kid's already under my roof." And then it all broke open. They arrested a man named Greg Lance, one of Travis's gambling buddies. He was caught trying to cash out stolen checks using an ID Travis gave him. Greg flipped fast. Said Travis paid him to follow me. Said Travis told him to send a warning to Tanya if she kept talking. Said Travis promised him a cut of the payout. He didn't even know it was a child's life insurance policy. That was it. Within 48 hours, Travis was charged with felony fraud, conspiracy, child endangerment, intimidation of a witness, and violating parole. He wasn't getting out this time. But I wasn't done yet. I went back to court with my lawyer and filed for full parental termination of Travis's rights over Cody. I wanted every trace of him erased from our lives. And I wanted a restraining order so tight he couldn't even whisper my name without getting another charge. The judge didn't hesitate. My lawyer gave one last presentation: the lies. The forged documents. The false witness testimony. The attempted kidnapping. The threats. The insurance scam. The connection to known criminals. The judge looked at Travis, now in cuffs and flanked by 2 deputies, and said, "I believe you targeted this child and his mother with intent to manipulate, defraud, and destroy. You are a danger. Not just to them, but to anyone who gets in your way. You will have no further legal access to this child. Ever." He banged the gavel. It was done. But something inside me still felt unsettled. Cody had nightmares for weeks. He'd wake up screaming, saying he dreamed Uncle Travis was in the closet. I got a security system installed. Bought new locks. Started sleeping with my phone on loud right next to my pillow. But then karma finished what I started. A few weeks after the ruling, I got a call from the county jail. Travis had been assaulted. Badly. Word got out about the life insurance scam. About what he tried to do to a kid. Jail justice came for him fast. His jaw was broken. 2 ribs. He had to be transferred to protective custody, and even then, he was stuck in solitary for months. That same week, Tanya's dog was found, left tied up outside a vet's office with a note that said, "Sorry." The woman in Spokane got a thank you letter from the sheriff. And me? I got my life back. Cody went back to school. I quit one of my jobs so I could be home more. We started therapy. And one night, as I was tucking him in, he looked up at me and said, "You came for me, Mom. You always come." I didn't cry. Not this time. I just kissed his forehead and told him the truth: no one messes with my kid and walks away. Travis learned that the hard way. He bet everything on a lie. And lost. Forever.